Welcome to the VOTU podcast. We are gathered here today to discuss the political structure on steemit. The main thing that I wanted to talk about was the current system of the witnesses. I kind of get a funny feeling that this is a system that makes it easier to maintain a status quo, so to speak. I don't really understand the rationale behind it, how the top witnesses get paid the very most and the witnesses at the bottom get paid the very least. It just feels like a system where the longer somebody's at the top, the bigger they get, right? Because they are earning all their, they earn what they make through steam power, right? So doesn't this make them more and more powerful to actually keep themselves within the witness list?
Basically, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started working with MSP was because me and Agro, before he went and started running a witness, we had actually talked about, essentially the witness structure and how it was kind of garbage. It's not fair. It's not decentralized at all. It's built to keep whoever's at the top in power. Since then, I mean, we've managed to get, I think, 3 witnesses in the top 20 now. So, I mean, things are changing for sure.
Cool. And when you say you've managed to get 3 witnesses in the top 20, you mean from some kind of group or something, or?
Right. I mean, MSP, together negotiated, worked out deals and stuff. I mean, I'll be straight up with you. There's no legit way to just go in without negotiating with top-level accounts to even get a witness near the top 20.
So, but I mean, it was Dan's idea, wasn't it? Dan decided that the people at the top should get paid the most. I mean,
right. And I mean, I actually do agree. The people at the top should be getting paid the most. And the reason why is because you want those people to be able to quit their jobs and be like a full-time developer for Steam. But the problem is whenever those people are just sitting up there at the top, running off of votes that they got back from their mining accounts, and they're not actually doing anything to develop, they're not doing anything to promote the community, and half of them are sitting there making fucking bid bots saying, hey, give me more of your money. It's ridiculous. So those people had to get moved out.
There was an idea, though. I mean, Dan had proposed a long time ago, and I don't know why it never got implemented. I guess he left before he got to. But yeah, I think Dan had an idea once where your votes would expire after a certain amount of time. So in other words, freedom and those massive accounts couldn't exactly just vote for you and then walk away for a year. They would have to always come back to their votes and say, okay, well, I'm going to vote for this person again. I mean, they could just do it arbitrarily and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to stick with the same deal I had with them before. Or they could check up on them and be like, is this the person I should still be voting for? Or,
Yeah, that's actually something me and Lexiconical talked about, because if you know who Lexiconical is, he makes all these in-depth witness things that tell you about what witnesses are doing, what their stats are, and I do some witness promotion stuff too, but I don't get into all the details like he does. So whenever he was talking about some of these old witnesses have 1,500 votes compared to some of the new witnesses that are moving up into the top 20 only have 500. And I was just like, well, you got to think about it the same way our accounts. If we've been here longest, we gather dead vote, dead followers. Those witnesses basically have dead votes, but those dead votes don't go away. They still hold the same power.
Yeah, and if they're really big votes, then they can have a huge amount of influence on the platform, even for witnesses that are not very active or not doing very much. I guess it doesn't even incentivize you to do much if you just automatically have that vote and they can go away. Yeah, it doesn't seem right that votes can just be left continuing forever, regardless of what work you're actually doing.
I think it's too much work in the long run to have that function. Maybe somebody could have implemented, but at the end of the day, they just probably decided to leave it as is, which is a problem. They should have a function where you go through and have to re-get votes or something like that. At the very least, at least politicians have to go out and campaign every few years. So same thing should be for witnesses.
I kind of feel like it puts the burden on toppling the government instead of keeping it in place.
But even if they had that system, is it not still a bit bad that the person at the top gets the most? Why do they need to get paid more than the person at number 100 or number 20 or number 50. I mean, everybody's servers cost the same, right? To run a witness.
Well, I think it depends on what they're doing. If they're doing their job phenomenally, whatever that word is, and if they're number one and everyone below them loves what they're doing and agrees what they're doing, then I think there would be like a synergistic idea that they're okay with people above them getting paid more because there's an understanding of what they're doing. But because there's all these gaps and loops where you can see people who aren't doing anything really, it's just something that needs to be cleaned and then readjusted.
Let's say, right, you have a witness at the top. Roland P, say, for example, right? I don't know if he's at the top now or not, but let's use him as an example because he works like every year on SteamFest, and I think he's built a lot of apps for Steam as well. Just use him as an example and imagine that for 10 years he's working as witness and he's at the top for 10 years. And so he becomes a pretty big whale out of those 10 years. And then he retires, right? When I say he retires from working, but he decides to still vote himself in as witness. And nobody can actually stop him from doing that. What I mean is, like, is this not a system that makes it easy for people who have been in power long enough to get themselves into power, to stay in power?
I think at the end of the day, it's supposed to be governed by the people that are in the system. So, I mean, yeah, you could have someone decide to do that. And I guess with this current system, it puts all the pressure on the people on the bottom to actually do something because the people at the top really aren't going to do anything. So the system is flawed in its ways, but you would just hope that people just don't go inactive like that because that could get annoying like it does. There has to be a system that's built by someone or a group of people or a campaign or an idea that says, hey, we actually need to go through and clean up, the top whatever or 1 through whatever, because the top don't have a system to clean up, right? So it would have to come from the bottom, and then that system would actually have to be embraced by a few people at the top for it to be effective.
Yeah, so steemit Inc., in other words, would have to get involved and develop the protocol for whatever fork is necessary to make it impossible for people to just sit there and do nothing after becoming so big from being a witness for so long.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that because steemit Inc. technically does not control the future of the blockchain. And like if you look at whenever steemit.com was just having all of those issues recently, like they lost a lot of people to Busy. Like I switched to Busy over that. So steemit Inc. and Steem are not intrinsically tied together. Like steemit Inc. can go under and we can still keep the blockchain going. But talking to like a lot of the top level witnesses, like they're actually considering restructuring those percentages to where it's more fair distribution. But I mean, the whole thing is we have to get more of these new witnesses that understand how lopsided the power struggle is into place. Like Agrod was the first one we got up there, and then I want to say Osbit Bank and some guy 123 has been up there for a long time. But I mean, like these people are generally the same like-minded kind of individuals that want to see Steem succeed long term.
Yeah, but you say steemit Inc. is not in control of the blockchain, but right now they are, because I mean, if everybody turned around to Busy, they have a front end for Steem, but they're not exactly going to start developing hard forks for Steem. They don't develop blockchain, do they?
The witnesses approved the hard fork, so yeah, I mean, just because steemit Inc. pushes one doesn't mean that the witnesses have to adopt it. They could fork at any time.
No, but somebody has to develop it, and right now it's always steemit Inc. Like nobody else has come forward and said we can design a hard fork that you just have to sign. It'd be interesting if somebody actually did, but I mean, it'd probably be really expensive and risky for them to do that as well.
Well, I would just say don't be surprised if it happens in the future, because it almost happened over this last incident where steemit was basically unusable for like a month.